I want to move and talk about the stock of the day because it's Palantir. And it is at a record high after beating on earnings, surpassing $1 billion in quarterly revenue for the first time ever. The stock has just ripped. We've mentioned it on so many occasions because of what's happened in the high beta universe, where most of those stocks have ripped. But this is the one that investors have continued to zero in on. Yes, valuation might be high, but you know what? Performance is high, and it remains that way, Joe. When you doubt it, it smacks you in the face and says, we can do it. We can do it. We can live up to this high expectation.
These are staggering numbers. Fundamentally, when you combine the revenue growth with the margins, I know the rule of 80 is coming into play here, the combination of that, but they have delivered here beyond the expectation, and the expectations were obviously and needed to be remarkably high. I do think, and I mentioned this yesterday on the show, the analyst community, surprisingly enough, really wasn't embracing the type of price action. There was skepticism there. The 12-month price target was $116. We've got a lift in that today to $142. So look, quite candidly, I'm relying on the rules-based nature of the ETF strategy, which has been in the position since January of 24. There is no way, if I had discretion over the account, I would have kept us in Palantir for the entirety of 900+%.
Well, look at the move. Let's go back. Let's go. Show me the chart prior to one you just put up. From the April low until right now is extraordinary in and of itself.
Absolutely. And listen, when we declined in April, I was at that point saying to myself, okay, this is a shakeout that could take this stock back down to $50 or $60. And I was wrong there as well. So I'm relying on the rules here to keep us in the position. But you have to credit this company. They are absolutely delivering on all the fundamental metrics. So if you're skeptical here and you're just blaming price, if you're saying, no, this is just a representation of momentum, it's the reason why, and trees don't grow to the sky, it's more than that. It is actually delivering on the fundamental AI story.
Not all momentum type names are created equal. Deutsche Bank, to Joe's point about the analyst community not necessarily buying in, so to speak, Deutsche Bank throws in the towel today. They had a sell call on the stock. Current valuation still challenging, they say. Can't wrap our arms around that, but our conversations with multiple customers in the company over the past several months have further reinforced the view that something special is going on here. That doesn't underscore the really? I don't know what does. So they're at hold. They can't bring themselves to buy it because of the valuation questions that they continue to have, but they have taken it off of sell. Josh Brown, why know you here? Why don't you own a name like this?
So we have exposure through the S&P 500. This was added on September 23rd. I'm one of these idiots that's worried about the valuation the entire way up. And I don't always do that. And in this particular case, I just absolutely missed. I missed on the story being as powerful as it is fundamentally, just purely in terms of the growth. This was never a cheap stock, all right? So it's up 124% year to date. Even at those April lows that you just put the chart up, there was no opportunity. It was never selling at any sort of a discount on price earnings growth, just literally never. And this is a hallmark of some of these classic growth stories where they just don't let you in if you're thinking with 1980s or 1990s brain, because that's not what's moving the stock. What's moving the stock? They have signed almost 1,000 customers. Forget about all the government contracts, which are, of course, huge and a major part of the story. Alex Karp spent a lot of time in his remarks talking about the business customers, the commercial customers, and commercial revenue was up 93% year over year to $306 million. The government revenue only, I say only with air quotes, rose 53%. So a lot of people are looking at this like a defense contractor, but in fact, their commercial business is growing at double the rate on a year-over-year basis. Now, they're guiding to $4 billion in revenue this year, which is great, but the market cap is $400 billion. So it doesn't make sense where the stock is trading, but I understand it. I listened to the call. Alex Karp is the new Elon Musk. Yeah. He's downright messianic. He comes on the conference call, and like one of the first things he says is, sorry to the haters. The new class of investors, they love that. They care more about that than anything a sell-side analyst who's accustomed to covering Lockheed Martin learned in business school. So that's the component of this that I missed. Not only are they executing, they're doing it with swag. That's what investors want. And you look at like growth managers who are not in this name, and they have a mutual fund with 200 positions, and Palantir is not one of them. You ask yourself, who the hell is buying this stock up 7% today after this huge run? That's who. I'm not. I don't have to do that for a living, thank God. But a lot of people do, and that's where that buying pressure continues to come from.
Karp's the kind of guy who he kicks you know what, and then he gets in your face afterwards, and he tells you that he just did that. And I mean that as a compliment.
Look what he just did.
Clearly the market
can't
does,
argue
and
with
investors
it.
seem to
By the way,
I'm not arguing with it.
Karp doesn't set the valuation. Karp manages the business. And this company, with a Rule of 40 score of 91 or 92, you can't make a chart of that and put other software companies on the same chart. This scale, like they wouldn't. So what he's doing is amazing. He doesn't decide the market value is going to be $500 billion on $4 billion in revenue. That's not up to him. That's what investors have decided.
Right. There are, if you want to use air quotes, we can put it around culty stocks. Maybe this has entered that universe, like Josh was talking about regarding Musk and Tesla.